Jonas and Sophie Turner have been trying to mediate their what looks like a very bitter divorce. Well, it looks like they succeeded because they have struck a tentative deal, and it looks like they're very close to striking a permanent one, particularly with respect to child custody, where these kids go.
That was the main issue here, because they have a prenup. We told you they have a prenup, so that meant that all of the property, all their assets, that's easy to discuss.
That's the easy part.
But what to do with the children, because the debate here has been that Sophie wants to live in the UK, wants them to be raised in the UK. Joe says, yes, that is something we talked about, but now we're getting divorced, so...
I'm staying in the U.S., and I want the kids in the U.S. because that's where they're from. There was a big fight because Sophie wanted the divorce to be handled in the UK, which would have been more likely for her to get the kids. He wants it in Miami, which is more likely that he will get substantial custody of the kids. But they reached an agreement, at least in part, and these kids are going to be going back and forth and back and forth.
So it's only a temporary agreement for now, though they did indicate, their counsel did, in the papers that they filed with the court, that they're on the verge of a more global settlement that'll handle things going forward. But in the near term, he's going to get the kids for the immediate next 2 weeks. She then can get them and take them, if she wants, back to the UK, and then there'll be a transfer back in a few weeks after that, back to the US in New York City. That transfer will take place. And then he'll get them for the Thanksgiving holiday, and she will get them for Christmas and New Year's. It's all spelled out. After that, we don't know, but presumably in these more global documents that we're going to see soon, it'll be spelled out there.
You know what I find really interesting about this, these kids are 1 and 3 right now, so they're not really in school, and school doesn't really matter. But when the kid goes into kindergarten,
then they've got to have a permanent, they got to say, this is where they're
exactly.
gonna be.
So what they do today, even if it's permanent, that may change when these kids start going to school.
But don't you think that when they make the permanent arrangements, they're going to make the permanent arrangement with the thought that this is where the kids are going to go to school?
I don't know.
It would have to be, Harvey. I mean, it would be sort of, given how much rancor we've seen, how much animosity we've seen over the last few weeks, it would seem to be foolish for them not to get to a point where they can agree what's going to happen once the kids are at least in elementary school.
I get you, but here's what I'm thinking. That, yeah, maybe they do reach an agreement, but both of them seem to want the kids to go to school where they live.
Right.
It may be, and I have no idea about this, I'm just suggesting, they have plenty of means. They're both very rich. Well, private jets, homeschooling, they could basically have tutors to basically shuttle with the kids going back and forth, so you could still have a fairly equal division of time, but the kids are getting school. I'm not saying it's ideal, but if neither is willing to budge, people do get homeschooled.
They do.
I don't know. I mean, it's complicated once.
It's very complicated. Then they have another debate, which is, well, I don't want one of them may not want the kids to be homeschooled because they want the kids to be in school
then a judge,
where they're socialized.
that's when a judge may have to step in, because
so they still have to hammer that out.
They have to hammer it out, and that's what they know. That they went into mediation because ultimately, I don't think either one wanted a judge to decide what happens with our kids. We should make that decision, and that's why they had 3 days of mediation last week. But ultimately, if they're at loggerheads when the kids go to school, it's going to be a judge.
It could be a continuing problem, although shouldn't the default be British schools? Aren't they just better than American schools?
Hi, my name is Zach Ross, calling from Porterville, California. And with the kids being at age 1 and 3, and you're going back and forth with different time zones, I think at first, for now, they're probably going to do that. But over time, that's just going to be very taxing, and it's going to be a lot. So it'll be a little interesting to kind of see what they work out, being that they both want to be in different countries.
Yeah. I mean, something's got to give.